Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today we're going to check out the Warcry Sundered Fate kit that Games Workshop gave me, so that you could see what the miniatures look like up close and personal, what problems I might have had while assembling them, how they just look. I just really like the look of them, so I want to share that with you, as well as I'm going to show you the difference between the Sundered Fate terrain, which uses the same pieces as the Heart of Ghur terrain, the kit that was basically a starter set for the new variant of Warcry. So I will show you that as well in this video, and while we're going through the miniatures, I'll put up their statistics so that you can enjoy how they work as we're going. We have two full warbands plus their stat and ability cards, the Hunters of Huanchi, which are Chameleon Skinks and Terrawings for the Seraphon if you're playing Age of Sigmar, and the Jade Obelisk warband, which are part of the Slaves to Darkness. Alright, so the first thing we're going to check out is this lady. She is called the Nephrite Priestess, and she has a couple options. So she can be using a mask, or she can have a bare face. I do like the look of the bare face. It's really pretty, but I had to put on her mask because in the lore they never take off her mask. Otherwise her face will crumble away. But there is an option to have her face there and her mask on her hip. There's also an option to be wielding her dagger instead of this heart and have a free open hand. But I decided a blood-covered knife and a heart in her hand because they basically lost their minds, and this shows it. All of these guys are monopose, and you are going to have to fix up spots where cloaks are coming together and there are join lines. Because it's all over the place here, I have a video in the description on how to get rid of gaps caused by that, if that matters to you. Then we have her friend and ally, the Obelisk Bearer. There is only one way for him to be built. He's an important model. The Obelisk Bearer and the Priestess are basically needed to make the entire warband useful because their rules work with them together and they can affect other people. So the Icon Bearer and the Priestess work really well together, which is it's such a cool looking model too. Anyway, this is a piece of their artifact. They are all very good artisans, so you'll see them with little stoneworking tools on them. Now, this fellow is called an Idolarch, and in the assembly guide, they ask you to put him on a 32mm base. Well, that doesn't seem to be right. He should be on a 28mm base. I've confirmed that by the number of bases that you get. What the assembly guide actually says you get in terms of number of 32mm bases versus 28mm bases, and I looked in the photos and his base is clearly smaller in the images of him than the Nephrite Priestess, the Obelisk Bearer, and the Desecrators, which are all on 32mm bases with all the rest. So that was just a mistake there, and it's just the little skinks that are on 25mm bases, and the two more leader types are on 28mm bases, and then the three Terrawings are on 32mm. Then we have Desecrators with Iron-classed war picks, or they can be with Statue Smasher hammers. I decided to give them all war picks for the extra attacks and for the lore, because that just sounds so savage to do to their opponents. Though the hammers, as you can see, have a higher base damage and of course also look great. These were only a few pieces to put together each, and I found no problems while building them, though I would say with all of these models, the terrain included, you will definitely want to fit each piece together first before gluing, because how they come together isn't necessarily intuitive. But every piece does have a particular place to go, so find that fit and then glue the pieces together. And then there are also defacers with anti-thief bows, if I'm saying that correctly. And these can have bows, or they could have stone cutter tools. I really think that having range in Warcry is a big benefit, so I gave two of them bows. They would look exactly the same in their pose, except for they'd be wielding tools in their hands instead. This is the only fellow that I decided to put with the stonecutter tools instead of the bow, mostly because the stonecutter tools have a special ability that's only available to them, and I wanted to give it a go. I didn't want to completely miss it, and this model looked better if it had stone tools instead of the bow, in my opinion. So now we go on to the skinks, or hunters of Huanchi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Here is the Chameleon Skink Alpha. There are two options to build him. He could either be using blowpipes, or he can be using this Moonstone Club. So you do have extra pieces there. Got a bunch of extra shields because I chose to give most of them blowpipes after all. I chose to give them mostly blowpipes because of their reaction that they have, which is right here. It says a fighter can make this reaction after they have been allocated damage points by a melee attack action. This fighter makes a disengage action. So on your opponent's activation, they can disengage after they're hit, which I think is the only way for them to survive. So I think, despite it not being the best attack, I think their way to win is to get out of combat and shoot from afar because they are so weak. Their stats are they're so weak. There we are. They only have 8 health and 2 toughness, so they're gonna be hit all the time. But they have a range of 6, so with that ability, I thought, and I'd scoot them out of range all the time. So this guy is called Huanchi's Claw, which is the cutest little guy. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. There's only one way to build him, and you can't really add his equipment to any of the others because it's very specific. His head is part of it. But he's so cute. There is no reason in lore there might be a reason to only have one in a warband, but really, if I could make more of that guy, I would, because he's definitely more powerful amongst the guys, amongst the various skinks. But you only get the one of them, but he's great. I mean, for 75 points versus 70, he does a lot more. But I guess to match it with the other various warbands, he is as he is. The next one is this guy. He is a Chameleon Skink Hornblower with Dart Pipe. He could have been, as I said before, he could be wielding a Moonstone Club instead. All of them could be wielding a Moonstone Club, but his Hornpipe is important because it calls on these Terrawing, so you definitely want a Hornpipe. You can build him without one, but you definitely want a Hornpipe guy because he calls on these great Terrawings to do the work for him. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 unique guys. They're all doing the same thing. They're all Chameleon Skinks with Dart Pipes, and you can build all of them to have Moonstone Clubs instead. I think these have such great character. I really like their look. And when you're assembling them with these dart pipes, you really want to be careful how you attach their arm, just to make certain that you're keeping it in place, because they do kind of want to fall a little, and you probably want to keep its pipe right next to his lips as if it's blowing out of it or about to blow it. These guys are much easier to hide away all of their join lines when you're assembling them. Oh, there is some fiddly bits. So this piece here, and that's on several of them, their little toes are separate from their feet and might be separate from a hand too. So you want to basically glue his feet and his hand all together at the same time, or maybe let him sit against something as he's drying so he doesn't fall over. If you look closely, they've got their little darts inside little frogs. Okay, can I find another one? Such cute little miniatures. Look at me, he's so happy. There's one. There it is. There's one. There's this little dart, and the little dart is actually stuck inside a little frog. 'Cause it's like poison arrow frog venom. It's so cute. Okay, and now we have the Terrawings. Very straightforward to put together, only assembled in one way. They attach at the shoulder joints so you can hide their join lines pretty straightforwardly. Nothing difficult. This one was a bit finicky to get. You really want to pay attention to it being flat as you are attaching the wings, because these attach right here. And there will be a big broad line across if you don't use plastic glue to soften it out. And after you prime it, you can always use the plastic putty that I'll show in the video below. But these guys, you really want to pay attention to getting the stones on the base flat, and that'll help you assemble him properly as well. And this guy. Aren't they great looking? So much character. They are so cute. So, as is the norm with GW terrain pieces, these pieces are in a different, more durable plastic than your guys. They'd be able to drop on the floor and likely be fine, other than the trees, which will probably drop off pieces, but these are definitely durable pieces. So in this kit, you get 2 ladders. You get 1 of each of these pieces. In Heart of Ghur, you got 2 of each of them. Incredibly easy to put together, so you can always start with these terrain pieces. If you're fairly new to assembly and you want to know where to start with these little terrain pieces first, because some of them, they're literally only 2 or 3 pieces to put together. But because they're harder plastic, you may need to press them together or use a pair of reverse tweezers to keep them together, or some elastic bands, as long as the elastic band doesn't go over anywhere that you have glued, because that will make a dent in your area. This one I remember in particular, I had to have it squeezed closed because it really wanted to keep an edge there. You just want to pay attention to it. This piece is altogether new. I will have difficulty painting inside there, but I wanted to show you what it looked like. But you probably don't want to assemble all of this fully before painting. This is what it looks like. It's just really nice. Got this hide piece. You actually have little rules in the book, so you want to look for them. You can actually hide a guy inside here. I really enjoy this terrain. I'm really happy to add to my Heart of Ghur terrain. Alright, so originally the Heart of Ghur one, this one's been primed, started being primed in Wraithbone. So this is how it would look like if you followed the Heart of Ghur directions. And it basically wants you to build that similarly, and then you add more onto it, as you can see. Once you paint it, I don't think it is going to look very similar at all, because you've got this extra added higher area, and you've got this canvas covering on top. I see it as two different models, which is really nice. Oh, and it would probably be much easier to paint the tree separate from all of these wooden pieces than it would be to try and paint it together. So I would suggest just look very closely. They do have particular places to go. As you can see, these guys just attach at the tree where the bolts are. So when you're looking to see where they should attach, they will be all attaching. Even these pieces all attach with 2 bolts, 1 bolt above and 1 bolt below where they're attached, to give you a guide for if you're painting first and then attaching after. And then here's this one. So as you can see, the piece down here is the same. It comes out much more obvious when in white. You could change over which is a cracked one and which is a damaged one and just switch positions. It doesn't fit perfectly, but it fits enough with some extra plastic glue that I think that would be fine. So this is the main one, but on this one, we've got an additional spinal piece, as well as a cool little looking mammoth style tusk, and all of this extra pieces. So this original piece is still here, but they've added on to it in a way that makes it look like a completely different piece. So pretty awesome. But of course, all of the little pieces and ladders and such are identical. This piece is still completely for the Heart of Ghur. I really like it. Together, these two kits really work nicely to make an entirely filled board. And yes, there are cards, terrain cards, Heart of Ghur, Sundered Fate, for both of them. And then it has for just Sundered Fate as well. You'll also find these all in the book too. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make certain if you had any questions about everything that I didn't happen to cover in this video, you should let me know in the comments below. And I hope if anyone is picking up those Warcry Age of Sigmar battle forces, they're going to have great fun with them. I will be doing videos for them, so you should check them out and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There is, I can say offhand that there is a savings on every one of them, between 20% saving on if you were just to get the all of the boxes of miniatures separately, up to from 20% up to 38% is your savings. So I thought you should know that when you're considering whether to get it or not. If you were eventually going to get all of those models anyway, then you might want to get them now while they're available. The battle forces do have a tendency to be limited stock, but hey, maybe there's some cool local stores that have been collecting them that you can get them from even after Christmas. But it is generally a one-time purchase for those stores, so what they got in now is all that they're going to get. So keep that in mind if you're on the fence about getting them. Okay. That has nothing to do with this video. I'll talk to you later. Bye! Thank you very much to the patrons. As always, I hope your December is going great. Because mine was not, but now it's better because I'm not sick anymore. I am not one who should ever get sick because I am generally cold, and when I'm sick, I'm super cold. Super cold. Got big fluffy socks on, which was a gift when I was feeling down from a patron, so I really appreciate that. Thank you. I like big fluffy socks. Okay, bye.